Welcome back to the VHS Vault. I'm one of your hosts, VHS Jace. Next to me is Jason Roy Gaston. Now, Jason, there comes along times doing the show with you. We come across movies that, just stand out from others. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here. Ator the Invincible, Q the Winged Serpent. And tonight, I think the third one in this trilogy of awesomeness is a movie called Robot Jox.
I was not expecting this movie, and I've never seen it before. I watched it with my son the other day, and I think every 10 minutes I just started laughing and saying, I love this movie. Ha ha ha, I love this movie.
I can't believe you'd never heard of it or seen it.
I had heard of it. I remember the commercials on TV. I just never saw it.
I wasn't even aware whether this film had a theatrical release because
it did. It did.
It does feel straight to video, but my perception on what's straight to video in Australia would be different because, obviously we didn't play everything at the theatres that you guys made. But yeah, like when you go back and see this film now, with films like Pacific Rim being made, all that kind of lore about Big Met that we've had in the last 30 years, to go back to see this film was an absolute delight. Now, let's talk about who made this film, Jace. Do you know who director and who this guy is in the world of horror? Mr. Stuart Gordon.
I have heard of Stuart Gordon.
Now, Stuart Gordon, most famously known for me, are two things. One, the director of The Reanimator.
Yes.
And two,
Jeffrey Combs was there. Yeah.
Exactly. And number two, the writer of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, that's like polar opposites of each other.
Polar opposites
of my
what
goodness.
he's normally done. So to see this, come from him, I think this is Stuart Gordon's attempt. And please get on his IMDb because it's fascinating films there, From Beyond, and the list goes on and on. This is his attempt to make a blockbuster kind of theatrical breakout movie. That's what I think the aim was with this film.
Well, I can definitely see that because this does have, I would say, bargain bin blockbuster written on it, because it definitely looks, I don't want to say cheap, but it's got that Roger Corman kind of feel to it. And I mean that with absolute reverence and sincerity. It's a very charming movie. It does not exactly break new ground with the miniatures or the special effects or the art direction or the acting or the writing or anything. But you know what? You still find yourself rooting for this movie because they're basically trying to do live action anime in 1990, and they were pretty darn successful at it.
They absolutely were trying to do that stuff. And you're right. And the reason it works a lot has to do with, I think, the actors knowing what type of film they're in, because there's this energy and tone to it that kind of, I feel like they're winking at us at the same time. And let's put a big shout out to the main lead in this film, Jace. Gary Sinise's younger brother, clearly. He would have been annoyed he didn't
excuse me, hold up. We respect Gary Graham in this house, okay? I grew up watching Gary Graham. I watched him in Alien Nation, and he was fantastic in Alien Nation. And later on in life, he became one of my favorite / least favorite Vulcan ambassadors on Star Trek Enterprise, who would often butt heads with a certain Blue Andorian played by Jeffrey Combs, who you can also find in Robot Jox.
He is in Robot Jox. And of course, that's because he's obviously had a relationship with Stuart Gordon because of their time with Reanimator. But yeah, nice pull to see him straight away. Because you wouldn't have known it until he came on screen, correct? Or did you see his name in the credits?
I saw his name in the credits. But, because I see Gary Graham, I'm like, Gary! Love you, dude. Gary Graham struck me as one of those character actors who you always recognize, but you never know his name. and in my opinion, should have been a much more well-known and famous actor than he became, because he's got a
Yes.
unique look. He can act. He's really good
Yeah.
at the craft. And, as this movie shows, whenever action scenes needs to happen, he can do action scenes.
He can. We will get into that a little bit
I mean,
more as we
he
go.
can.
Man.
Okay, let me rephrase that. Alien Nation showed he could do action scenes.
Yeah, okay.
This
Alien
one
Nation
showed
was an
he could.
excellent show.
It really was. This movie showed that he could do action scenes without too much preparation and not make it look too ridiculous.
Yeah. It's not him, it's the
No.
staging. There's many
It is the
times
staging,
here
yes.
where the camera just doesn't move. There's a whole fight, to jump right to there, that whole fight, hand-on-hand combat, he doesn't move the camera. Someone just put a tripod in the middle of the set and went, that's it. We are not moving this camera for anything. And,
Well, Stuart Gordon had to go to the store that day or something. He just put the camera on a tripod and said,
something.
act towards that.
Yeah, I'll leave it with you guys, all right? Now, yes, we love Gary Graham. However, some of these other actors, they're charming, but maybe not the strongest of performers. I would say the leading lady in this film had some difficult line readings in it. And she plays, I've missed the most obvious part. How's the names of the characters in this movie?
A little on the nose. Just a little on the nose.
It's broken the nose.
Yeah. Okay.
Gary Graham's called Achilles.
Achilles. And I had to say, whenever Achilles flies into orbit and takes damage from a missile, and it is right where you expect it to be, I just thought,
exactly.
Okay, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad. No, I'm not even mad.
You can't be mad at that. Why? You know why? Because it had no purpose to the plot, really.
No.
Like, it wasn't like critical to get to the end of this movie.
No.
But it was. It's like, well, I have to do it. He flies too close to the sun.
That's Icarus. That's Icarus.
That's Icarus. Sorry, my bad. I just finished high school. So.
You know what? Alexander had an opportunity.
Yeah.
He went for it. I cannot be mad for him. I cannot be mad at that.
Achilles' heel, the heel part is just so on the nose.
Yeah, it was.
But that's kind of jumping to the end. But there are a slew of just wonderfully cheesy actors in this film that I just adore. And I can't seem to find the main guy, the cowboy. What's his name? Tex?
His name was Tex.
Tex Conway, of course.
Tex Conway, played by Michael Aldridge. My gosh, this guy, that's all I have to say. This guy right here,
Yeah.
this guy.
Put it this way, as we're going to talk about this film, I wanted to make very clear to the audience, Jason, how I feel about this film. So any negative comments I have to make, people need to visualize this, because this is what I'm thinking every single time, Jason. Yeah, Robot Jox.
We can live.
Oh yes, that'll be coming up throughout it. So
I'm right there with you. I adore the hell out of this movie. I just love it.
It is so much fun. And hey, when it opens, Jace, and we get straight into exposition, setting up where the universe is, I'm in. I like the voiceover. I love the pan shot across the model set but it's set in snow. Something we don't visually see a lot in that, snow-covered, destroyed mechs. I thought it was very cool. Setting it's 50 years after the nuclear war, and we have two factions, the Confederacy, and I can't remember what they called the other one. And, the way they battle each other is one mech versus one mech in an all-out battle. And I love the idea of it. And there's just... It's kind of B grade enough, the concept, to kind of lock you in. You know what I mean? Just the idea of that. I mean, it supports no logic whatsoever. That's how you solve world problems like the territory of Alaska.
Hey, you know what? If it's good enough for Star Trek, it's good enough for Robot Jox. And speaking of which, I am I know that people watching this, you're probably a big fan of Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim borrowed a lot from this movie. I was watching it with some friends, and one of them said, "This is just Pacific Rim, but cheaper." And I was like, "No, Pacific Rim is Robot Jox, but more expensiver." There are so many similarities. I'm not saying that they copied. I am saying that they glanced over during the test a couple of times.
Look, the design of the robots, how the robots function, like he moves his feet and his arms. And Gamero's going, I think we need 2 people in there. That's what he's done. But yeah, the actual design. And why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Because they got it right, Chase. This is 1989, and these look better than any of the Michael Bay design Transformers, the Michael Bay ones, I'm saying.
Well, it's not only that, but it's also the inclusion of Athena. You see that mirrored in Pacific Rim.
Yes.
Even the placement of the cockpit was very similar. But you know, it also reminded me. Yes, the betrayal. It also reminded me of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. just the way they were shot. I'm not saying that this movie. I'm not saying Power Rangers ripped this off. The action scenes, reminded me of Power Rangers. I just love it. I just love this movie so much. I love it. I love every cheesy minute of it.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, I'm sure people go, because the fight scenes in this, they fight so slow. Like everything is slowed down. Like they go for a punch, and visually they don't even speed up the film. They just show it, but it works for me. I like that they've done that.
It sells the scale of the mechs to me, because I think a mech moving at normal speed, it looks like a guy in the suit, but a mech moving slowly, there's weight behind it, there's heft behind it, there is scale behind it, and it works. The director, Stuart Gordon, knew what he was doing, and it translates very well. You could sit there and you could laugh at the cheapness of the sets and the cheapness of the costumes, and I laughed heavily when Athena comes in and shoots Gary Graham with a tranquilizer out of a glue gun. It was a glue gun. And I thought that was a funny thing. Yeah. I laughed at that. But you know what? So much of this movie does work because they did know what they were doing. They stretched every dollar as far as they could, and they made it look good. They made it look good. Yes.
And I tell you what, I really like the concept of the pilots. They were genetically engineering pilots and training them. And
I love the fact they called them. I love the fact they called them Tubies whenever I was watching this movie on Tubi.
Yeah, Tubies. Yeah. Oh, you're watching it on Tubi. Yeah, I assume that was because they were to be pilots. They're like trainees, is why they called them Tubies.
Well, they're test tubies. They're test tube babies. They're tubies.
That's I thought like they are going to be. I didn't.
Oh no, they were just they were grown in tubes. They were test tube
by the way,
babies.
I mostly loved the doctor who was running the program, because you know, you bring in a British older lady. That hits gravitas straight off the bat. You've got to listen to her, right?
Oh yeah.
And then
that's the whole
unprofessional meltdown this woman has later in the film is just. I was hilariously laughing at that because it's her program. She knew exactly what's going on. And when the shit went down, she lost her marbles. And I thought that was brilliant.
Well, she's basically their mom. I mean, come on. She's their mom. She was
cold and cutthroat without everything else. She was the one setting the parameters.
Hey, you know what? Everybody is cold and cutthroat until your child looks at you with those big wet eyes and says, "Daddy," and then you just melt like butter. All right.
Yeah. Now, the limitations of this film can also, I believe, be pointed out as some of the strengths. Because really, the scale of this film, although large, is rather small. You're really getting, 3 fights in this? That's kind of it. It's not a big scoping story. It's very kind of insular. And I think it only happens, over a week or two, if that. But it works. There's sometimes simple stories as all you need. And this is what that's got. Hey, Star Wars is a perfect example of that. A New Hope. One of the simplest stories out there, and it is considered one of the classics. So, not that I'm comparing this to Star Wars. What about
maybe Rise of Skywalker?
Maybe Rise of Skywalker. How's the idea that this world is literally run by 4 umpires at the back there? Pretty cool, right?
Oh my goodness!
And why is the Russian dressed like he was just come off the USS Voyager? So
I don't know. Why is our guy dressed like he just came off of the Cerritos?
Yeah, right. Like somebody sue somebody over this.
Well, I'm afraid Robot Jox will be suing Star Trek if you want to know the time parameters there.
Yes, that's true. That's true. But let's start it off. They get in their first fight, right? And it's a draw because the Russian cheats, basically.
Yeah.
With the flying fist.
First of all, worst umpires ever.
Ah,
absolute worst umpires ever. Yeah, no.
That's as a person who follows football here in Australia, I'm used to bad umpiring, so that was not a shock to me. But that first fight with the flying fist. Then you're going, Stuart Gordon has been watching anime. He's been watching cartoons for years because these ideas, the lasers, the rockets, the idea that they fire at each other first, point blank, and then they get into fights, it's very anime inspired, and I'm loving every second of that idea.
Oh, most definitely. Lots of Voltron influences there, lots of Gundam influences. And the whole, I don't know, I laughed out loud at the green laser was supposed to be a secret. How did he know? That's anime dialogue right there.
Yeah,
that's like Speed Racer.
100%.
It doesn't matter. We have to win this fight right now, okay?
And they really telegraphed the betrayal to you early on in this.
Oh, most definitely. We were just counting down.
Room. Oh, how did you get out of that? How did you know how to hit the blind spot? Luck.
Well, you see, we had to go and do this. He reminded me of Chris Farley doing the guy, down in the van down by the river.
Well, he literally did shifty eyes in that scene.
Oh yeah,
eyes darted. I'm like, whoa. But
I'm going to answer this as suspiciously as I can, little lady.
They really try to build. I think they do a good job at building the world when it comes to world building. We understood the trainees, what his role was in it. He's Achilles. He's the chosen one, right?
Yes.
So, and I think they do that really well. In fact, I even think they do a great job when they do come to the moment where there's a lot of dead people in the scene. And that's pretty cool scene. I gotta say, it's cheesy, it's ridiculous, but it works for the plot. And it drives everything forward. And it's that scene there. How do you not laugh?
I did laugh. I laughed very hard. I don't think I stopped laughing for about 10 minutes. I am an inappropriate laugher because just watching this big mech just kind of do one of these and everybody in the stands, they're zooming in going, ah! I'm just like, run. It's falling really slowly. Just run. You don't even have to run. Just walk fast.
Yeah.
It's the dude.
My coat back there.
It's the dude from Austin Powers about to be run over by the steamroller, going, "No!"
It is that. Exactly. Hey, did you notice though? Stuart Gordon, being a horror director, he put a lot of gore into that scene, but you only saw flashes of it.
Yes, I
So
thought
they
that was
went
very
for the
masterful.
gore, but obviously had to cut back a little bit.
I found it very interesting that this movie was only rated PG because it has got the gore in it, and it has nudity in it, and it got a PG rating.
Yeah, it's the 80s, man. What can I
I
say?
know. It is no wonder we grew up all screwed up.
No, look, there's a lot of fun to be had with this film. I especially love, you can see where the budget restrictions came in, where, like, come on, that's a model, right? How do you not look at this stuff and go, look, he's on a set. Like, it's just like everything here is made to budget. And they're not caring, though, which I think is what helps with the charm of this film.
I like special effects that look like special effects. I'm not a big fan of making everything photorealistic. I like that I can look at something and say, that's a model, but that's okay. I feel like I've mentioned this before, so people may be hearing this twice. But the art director, special effects director, I'm sorry, on this movie that I love called Dark City, goes on and on about how much he does not want his special effects to look real. He wants them to look fake. And I really think that there's a lot of merit to that. I like my special effects to look a little fake too, because that helps me suspend my disbelief. That helps put me in this world and say, yeah, a bunch of people just got squished like bugs by a mech falling backwards, but that's okay. It's just a movie. Don't worry. The people who are pinned under debris, those are just big pieces of cardboard. They're literally wobbling as they're going, ah!
In the world of DVD, one of the big things in the world with DVDs, we got a lot of movies restored, like HD upgrades. This movie doesn't benefit from the HD upgrade, especially in the third act, where they didn't even bother trying to optically get rid of any fishing line. They are very noticeable throughout it, but at that point, I'm so locked in, it doesn't matter. Did you pick The Betrayal?
Before we begin that...
Oh, sorry, we talked about that.
No, trivia question for you.
Okay.
What was the first movie to digitally remove wires from its special effects shots?
It's got to be mid-80s, right?
Perhaps.
I reckon Star Trek 2.
Howard the Duck.
Ooh.
Howard the Duck was the first movie to erase cables.
Can I get a quarter point for that? Because I was still referring to ILM.
Yeah, I don't care. You know what? If it makes you feel like a winner, go for it.
Well, Howard, I suppose they had to with Howard the Duck, because that's 100 minutes of a duck on screen, because he's almost in all of that film.
Yeah. Well, it was not just
without Howard.
It wasn't every scene. It was just like mostly at the beginning, whenever he's being transported from Duck World, they removed the wires from that. I mean, it was the first time they did it.
Duck.
Play duck. Duck boobies.
Yeah.
Anyway, the duck boobies traumatized me. We'll have to do Howard the Duck one of these days.
We'll have to. And Marvel, if you're making R-rated Deadpool, like, I'm pretty sure Seth Green would be open to do an R-rated Howard the Duck. He's been the voice in the... Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he would definitely.
He'd do it. He's probably already got a script sitting outside of Marvel offices in a chair, just holding it like this, going, Seth's still out there? Yeah, he's still out there. My God, he's been out there for like a week.
I feel sorry for Achilles in this film, at points, Jace, coming back to this film. Because I feel like he is very lonely in a lot of this film.
Mm-hmm.
And that's played out for him to actually get a personal connection again, going back to his brother. And I thought they did a really good job of that, because as a character who really has the world on his shoulders, literally has the world on him, well, not literally, but he has the world on his shoulders, because everyone's looking at him going, well, you're the quarterback. You're the star. You're the one who's going to save Alaska. He's had to become quite insular. I thought they did that really well, because even his love interest, which is just the worst love story, I gotta say, but I loved it because it was the worst, really takes a long time to kick in, because he can't really connect with people. So I thought that was something I reckon Gary Graham has brought to the table, just to make his character a bit more complex. The third act of this movie turns into a bit of just a blind revenge story in some ways, doesn't it?
Yes, Alexander is quite the unhinged individual. That's what makes him fun, though. He is just
best acting ever.
Oh my gosh, the fact that I don't know. I got like Ivan Drago vibes from this guy. He is just the Russian that we're all supposed to hate, and my gosh, the actor who plays him just hams it up so much, just to the point of, yes, you almost hate me. I'm like, we do hate you, but we love you too.
His cackle's very Schwarzenegger-esque.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
His grunts and his groans, and he is so over-the-top villainous that he's delightful to watch. And I'll say it again, he had to do a lot of acting just here through that helmet.
Oh, yeah.
Right? A lot of his scenes. And, mate, he did it all through his eyes. And it was...
Yeah, he was fantastic. I don't know his name, but I can look. Paul Colso.
Yeah.
Paul Coso, I don't know what he did with his life, but he definitely was amazing in this movie. Oh my gosh. I love it. We got to use that as a rating from now on.
Yeah.
We can live!
And did you not notice, count how many times Achilles goes yes or thumbs up in this movie? Because it happens multiple times throughout the film.
I did notice.
He celebrates a lot.
He does, yes. Oh my gosh. I just love it. I love every second of it. Just the more we talk about how goofy it was, the more I just think it's only just solidifying my love for this film.
And the idea of, because we got the lead in the training session, we knew Achilles could fight, right? He took down 10 tubies at once almost in the beginning. So we knew there was going to have to be a fight at the end.
The tubies are not that impressive in this movie. I'm just going to say they're really not.
And they're supposed to be the genetically superior.
Yeah.
I could have taken a few of them.
This is like Star Trek 2 if all of Khan's people were just like, we're going to come get you, Kirk. And Kirk is just sitting there, smack, smack, smack. It's like that skit. It's like that skit making fun of the slap with, Zachary Quinto, slap, slap, slap.
Well, we get Athena, right? And we open up with her, and she is, she's dominant. And Tex is going, don't worry, she's a woman. Which is crazy.
I know, it's like, I'm sorry, what year is this again?
It's so misogynistic.
This movie has got a definite shriek of misogyny in it, not just from Tex, but from Achilles as well. He's just, she's a woman. I can't wait to see how she fights in the bed. Ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, the old British woman is back there going, she's 3 weeks old, you pervert.
She's freaking out.
No, we stop talking about her. She's innocent.
It's it was great. No, but Athena's bigger than she's kicking butt. And then they have their one-on-one fight, and straight away he's got her on top of the bed. Man. Whoever was plotting this out in rehearsals and working out, the movements of the scene, God, fire that person. You could have done something.
Yeah, it's just that's just. I mean, it is definitely unfortunate, but at the same time, it's almost like what was expected at the time, because you always had to make those kind of comments about your female partners and co-stars. You always had to make those because it was considered. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying at the time it was considered, I don't know, like a compliment to say those kind of things, because men were absolute pigs, and it's not right. But sometimes you got to look and say, well, that's how things were back then. That does not make it right, but that's just how they were.
Well, to get to where we are, there have been steps and there have been growth. So in the 80s, they were at the point of, we're going to recognize women have got their worth, but that's as far as we're going to go, but we're still going to be misogynistic. That's where we were at that time. But we grew, thankfully.
The fact that Athena was in the movie at all was their feminist statement.
And who decides to pull a Swiftie and get in it? I mean, she's the one who is the one who wants this fight. She wants it enough that those poor people who were, crash and burn, that whole crash and burn intro with all the guys who are working on the robot and all the engineers and techs. And he's friendly with one of them, even slaps his butt as he goes in, to when Athena goes in and she's just kicking their asses. And then she gets in. So she's got a big part to play.
I did think it was funny whenever she's getting into the mech and she gets her butt slapped and she turns around and the guy says, "You're not Achilles." Did he know that? Did he know that because she turned around, or did he know that because he felt a difference?
Maybe I would expect that'd be very firm for Achilles.
I would think, Achilles would be. I'm thinking both of them would be firm, but maybe it's like the shape is a little bit different. Maybe. I don't know. One of them is voluptuous and supple, and and the other one is
Athena.
Athena's, yes.
No, it's a great.
We love you, Gary Graham.
We do. We clearly do. And he gets his moment at the end with that still shot fist fight with the Russian, which is an extended fight. It's starting to get into, maybe not as long, but it's starting to get to, are they redoing another scene of They Live? Is this going to be like a 20-minute fight scene?
I'm fine with it,
They go
though.
for it.
I'm fine with it.
I'm fine with that Gary Graham left that red sash head thing on for the whole time in the third act. I'm shocked that no one at one point gone, he's our leading man and he's a good-looking dude. Maybe we shouldn't cover him in a red lycra head thing for the whole movie. Damona
Yes.
wants to know what you think.
She watched it with me. She enjoyed it.
I
especially like the part where all the humans were crushed. Like little
300
bugs.
people died that day, Jason, remember? 300 poor survivors who signed a waiver. They made a point of making that in the movie. They've all signed a waiver.
300 humans crushed. It was almost enough.
That's right.
Okay, I have to talk about part of the movie that made me laugh so hard. And I'm trying to think of a way to say this because, I like to keep myself PG on here.
Yeah.
The revelation of the chainsaw weapon from Alexander's mech.
The best ever.
Because it comes on out and it is quite suggestive and the movie's PG and you're just sitting there watching that thinking, it's a boy robot.
This is misogynistic.
It's a boy robot.
It's a boy robot.
It's a boy robot.
And it's definitely up. Look, if you know who wrote this movie, clearly it's a man because it's not only it's not only a thing, it also is violent and aggressive.
Absolutely.
Like, it's such a
There's psychology papers waiting to be written about this. What I think was funny was that whenever I watch movies like this, I kind of make fun of them like an untalented Mystery Science Theater version. And I kept saying during the fight, kick him in the robot nads, kick him in the robot nads.
Well,
and then the chainsaw, the chainsaw boom comes out, and I'm just like, robots got nads. I was Chunk from Monster Squad there for a second. Horace from Monster Squad.
And the fact is, they're not even hiding what they're trying to do.
They knew what they were doing.
And you can see, like, things like that are the reason this thing probably didn't get better distribution.
Yeah.
That scene, killing 300 people, there are certain elements that if they're taken out, probably would have got a wider distribution and be more kid-friendly.
I'm just thinking of the people making the robot miniatures, putting the chainsaw on it, and just you're just hearing this laughter from the workroom. Just we're giving it a thingy.
I'm getting paid to do this. Yeah, it's crazy.
Make it bigger.
You're saying that as Beavis and Butthead. That's what really Jeffrey Combs and his buddy are playing for this movie.
Oh my god! I love the fact that Jeffrey Combs got like top willing to be in this movie, and he was in it
Yeah.
for what, 7-8 seconds?
He did.
Because I was really looking forward.
He was.
I
like,
was
"You
looking
can do
forward
it."
I know. I was looking forward to seeing Jeffrey Combs in this movie. Like, oh yes, I love Jeffrey Combs. And then, yeah, you can do it.
You would have thought, oh yeah, okay, he's going to play a scientist who's in charge of this whole thing, or he's going to play some crook or slimy character, and yeah, he's the you can do it guy. So,
Hey, you know what? I think Jeffrey Combs got the final laugh because actually they revealed several years later Jeffrey Combs played every single part in this movie, including the mechs.
And you know what? We love you, Jeffrey Combs.
Yes.
You get
look at the makeup on Jeffrey Combs right there. My gosh, it's amazing.
Live.
We can live. I think Wei-Un said that a few years later, didn't he?
Yeah.
We can live to serve the founders.
Oh wow! So look, it's not an easy movie to find, by the way.
Yes, it is. It's on Tubi. It's for free.
In America, maybe, but it doesn't mean globally. I've actually. Very difficult to find, but I did thankfully find it in the end. But yeah, if you're in America, you're lucky. Tubi, which is wonderful. Did you know this film had almost a sequel?
Yes,
it did have. That
yes, I did.
Had nothing to do with this.
Oh no! Yes, the director, Gary Graham, and the dude who Paul Coso, who played Alexander, were all going to come back, and they were going to join forces to fight aliens. Who I'm assuming would also have mech suits. I would have watched the heck out of that. I would have watched the ever-loving heck out of it.
In 1990, in most of the European markets, called Robot Jox 2, Crash and Burn.
What?
Now, even though the movie has absolutely nothing to do with in plot, in story, or anything to do with Robot Jox, they'd actually stamped the movie Crash and Burn. They've named this movie Crash and Burn after Robot Jox.
I have never heard of this before.
They got sued.
Well, they should.
Big time. So it does have a mech in the movie, but nothing to do with Robot Jox.
Oh my gosh.
That's an interesting tip.
Come watch this glorious new movie is sequel to great American film called Robot Jox. Is film spectacular for great enjoyment of movie-going public. Come watch glorious action scenes filmed in great standard definition.
In the Russian cinema, Max. It's 60 mil.
In the Russian cinema, movie watches you.
Either way, look, this movie, when it came out, was almost like I'd never seen it in the video shop or anything else like that. So my friend found it and watched it and was obsessed over it, and the reason I got to watch it. But it's one of those movies, I think, for a lot of people who discover it, and you're one who's kind of discover it because it was recommended to us.
We never did say who recommended it to us.
No, we're going to do that right about now. Okay. That's my segue. Jace.
So anyway,
how do we even get to watch this?
Well, we have a segment called The Feline Decides, in which my cats choose the movie for us. And they did. They chose this dish right here, except I don't know what happened to the footage. I'm assuming it went the same place that the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 review went. But they did eat out of this bowl. And as you can see, Robot Jox. And it was suggested by a viewer of ours named Sam Althus. So Sam Althus graciously suggested this movie. We thought, oh, yes, let's put that on the dishes. Let's do that.
All I can do for you is this. That's what we think of your recommendation.
We're going to get so much mileage out of that.
Yeah.
Poor Gary Graham's thumb is going to be so sore.
But we're happy, mate. They might have been saying crash and burn in this movie, but I didn't crash. I didn't burn with this movie. I had an absolute blast, Jason.
It was great. I did enjoy it. And, speaking of this, of course, if you have a suggestion for a movie that we should watch, especially going into the holiday season. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. You even had a segue. I'm proud of you.
I had a graphic loaded up.
Wow, that is nice. But yes, comment below. Tell us what we should be watching. We are looking at doing holiday movies coming up.
We
so if
are,
there's a weird...
and we are also looking to build our 2024 stock.
Yes.
So
yes.
we got a whole new year next year. We need a lot of movies to watch, 50 minimum. So guys, load us up. But yes, we are doing some Christmas movies, aren't we?
Yes, Christmas movies, and I don't know. Are there? Surely there's like Hanukkah movies out there, or solstice movies. I've never seen one before. I don't know about getting
you to choose them, because our last review, which you've got to watch, was for, and I thought, oh, he's doing a family film about Thanksgiving. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be beautiful. But no, it's about a 500-year-old killer turkey. Please watch that on the channel.
Please do. Don't let my suffering be in vain.
Oh, that must have been a hard grind.
It was very bad.
All right, well, there you go, guys. We've got lots of great stuff coming up in the VHS Vault. Yes, please recommend. And we'll be back next time, Jace, won't we? With a bit more of Freddy, I believe, is our next episode.
The next one that you will see will be Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the long-delayed version. But following that, it's a redo. We had to re-record it. But following that, we're going to get into a Nightmare on Elm Street 5, The Dream Child, which I'm assuming is going to be very good.
I've heard it. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I can't wait to see this, I mean, my crazy neighbor can't be wrong. I mean,
No.
Maybe they're not wearing any pants when they're telling me, but they've never led me astray before.
I've heard from several 12-year-old children that it is a awesome movie, and it's better than Avatar.
Well, if it's good enough for them, damn sure it's good enough for us, Jason. Done. Until next time, guys. We'll see you soon on the VHS Vault.
Oh my gosh. Gary Graham's going to sue us. Weird. Yes, you know what? And he needs to.
Yes.
He needs to. But Gary, we love you though.
Have you seen him in any of the new Star Trek? Have they rolled him out yet?
They have not rolled him back out, but they should. They should. Yeah. I don't think he's going to sue us, especially after complimenting his supple, voluptuous behind.
Well,
I think
this is probably the most amount of promotion the poor bugger's gotten in a few years.
He needs more. He's amazing.